you very much for crossing to us this afternoon, just a mere few minutes after Finance Minister Tito Mboweni actually delivered that much-awaited budget speech. With me is the Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Mr. Julius Malema. Mr. Malema, thank you very much for joining us. What are your first few thoughts about what Minister Tito Mboweni had to say this afternoon?
Well, it is not a very bad budget under the circumstances. We welcome the establishment of the state-owned bank. We welcome the fund as well, a sovereign wealth fund, which both of them are the ideas of the EFF. We are extremely disturbed by reducing the allocation of local government, because local government is at the cold face of all government spheres. Many people actually do not know what government is except local government. To reduce its allocation from 10% to 8.8%, really it is an insult, and we hope that the minister will reconsider, that allocation. But generally, I think the minister tried everything possible to make sure that he gives us a promising budget.
One of the policy proposals of the EFF was to actually use the strength of the public spending to actually galvanize, small businesses. And we saw today that, small businesses and enterprises are actually receiving only 6.5 billion rands, and the Small Enterprise Development Agency is receiving 2.2 billion rand to support small businesses. What would you have done differently?
Well, we government that is going to increase its spending on small business, but also on locally produced products. That is the only way we are going to grow the economy, and we are going to create jobs. Because you can see that the minister, in as much as he tried his level best, there is no clear strategy of how jobs are going to be created. And in the immediate will be the support of small business and the buying of local products, especially by all government entities and departments. We want the minister to make sure that our people, especially the small business, which we know in their majority are black people, are the beneficiaries of government spending.
When it comes to the state-owned enterprises such as ESCOM and particularly SAA, the minister spoke about and the reconfiguration, particularly of SAA as well. Are you satisfied about what he said this particular in this particular budget about what it's going to look like in the next 12 months?
Well, we have a problem with restructuring, because the government of Cyril, when it says restructuring, it actually means privatization. And privatization will lead to retrenchment of workers, and we'll never agree with that type of an intervention. We welcome any cash injection in ESCOM and SAA to help them to stand on their feet and be able to generate more income. But anything that is going to bring a strategic partner who's going to lead to a destroying of state-owned enterprises, will never agree to that. We are of a view that if we want the sovereign fund to work, we must make sure that we nationalize strategic sectors of the economy, and we also strengthen what we already own as state assets, not to sell those things and claim that we also want to create a sovereign wealth fund. Where will the money come from if the government doesn't own anything strategic in the economy which is going to channel the money into the sovereign wealth fund?
Mr. Malema, another important aspect is a request by the employer, the DPSA, to actually not honor the final year of the wage agreement that was signed with civil servants in 2018, to not honor the final year which begins in April, and to renegotiate it. Where would the EFF stand when it comes to that particular one? Because unions in particular are not going to be happy.
No, we will not agree with that. The agreement must be honored, and going into the new negotiations, the attitudes, both union and the employer, should be changed and take into consideration the economic conditions of our country. But as things stand now, the agreement should be honored, because workers have made plans according to the agreements they've reached with the employer.
Lastly, Mr. Malema, on the question of taxes, you have heard that today that the taxes are not going to be increased, particularly the middle class and everybody else, and also the wage bill, to contain the wage bill. It's quite important. Do you agree that there is no way that at this juncture we could have increased taxes in any guise?
It was not going to be a welcomed move. It was going to be dangerous. It would have led to a depression. And we also welcome the move that says anyone who buys property for 1 million or less will not have to pay a transfer cost. It's a very progressive move which will encourage property ownership. There will never be a decisive participation in the economy without the ownership of property, and not increasing taxes as well. It was a very good move, especially for the low income and the middle class. The rich must be taxed heavily because they can afford. Actually, they have more than what a person requires in their lifetime. So they've got more. They can die and still come back and still enjoy the same monies they have. The only way they can share with us is through taxes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malema. Well, you heard it from the EFF Commander-in-Chief, Julius Malema, talking about what they think. Really surprising, when it comes to how militant they have been, but they seem to have had a change of heart about, not always disagreeing to what the finance minister had to say in the past. I will throw it right back to you.